you're not stopping. I need an in here. That's beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Well, actually, it's almost time for us to actually get there. But guess what that place reminds me of? You know the pizza. Have you tried?
I tried.
But
Yes, this is actually. I tried. You have no idea. It's a beautiful, real big.
it's worth it. You are so terrific.
Oh,
I
okay.
know you will be able to do it. And you can do it for us. That's like coffee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. I'm glad you came today, and it is my hope you will find something here that nourishes your heart, feeds your mind, and grows your spirit. My name is Jana Kennard, and I'm your worship leader this morning. Be you a spiritual seeker, an atheist, or a theist, Westside is a community of many beliefs, genders, and sexualities, a community of diverse cultural, racial, and class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. Some here find inspiration in the great books, others in the great outdoors, and others still in great conversations. Whoever you may be, all are welcome in our inclusive congregation. To newcomers and old friends alike, together we say, welcome. At Westside, we are raising the next generation of Unitarian Universalists, and we want them to know that they are an important part of our community. Several years ago, we chose to be radically inclusive and to adopt a multi-generational worship where our services include all family members. So welcome to all children and youth of all ages. There are a number of announcements included in your order of service today. Please take any of them with you that you might need for reminders or to share with others. But there are two items in particular that I'd like to call to your attention. Now is the time to sign up for circle suppers. Our first dinner together is scheduled for Saturday, October 7th, but the organizer needs to have all registrations of interest by Sunday, October 1st, so she can make the assignments for hosts and participants. There is a potluck on Sunday, October 1st, and that day will be the last time to sign up for this very first supper. Contact Glenda Hood if you need further information. And there's also, I think, a big thing in the front lobby about it and a QR code. And second, if you can, please fill out the 8th Principle survey if you haven't already. The QR code will also be on the screen after the service and will be included in our Westside Weekly this Wednesday. The 8th Principle crew is looking forward to, looking forward to hearing your thoughts in preparation for our small group listening circles at our potluck next Sunday, October 1st. For those of you joining us online or visiting with us today, if you are not already on our mailing list, please sign up by clicking the link at the bottom of our westsideu.org website. And for those of you here in person with us, please take a moment to silence all devices. This morning, all elements of the service, including our reflection, were prepared by Sarah Burrell-Harrop, intern minister at the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and a seminarian at Meadville Lombard Theological School. Sarah grew up UU and raised 2 children as UUs as well in Houston. She's been engaged in congregational life in Houston and the Dallas-Fort Worth area in many capacities: religious educator, social justice chair, and board leadership. Sarah is passionate about nurturing groups and communities grounded in relationship and trust that offer alternatives to organizations based in domination and control. Welcome, Sarah. We're so glad you're here with us today, and we look forward to your words. Now, I invite you to take a deep breath, and from wherever you are, settle into the sacred space that we create, and let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude, Give Peace a Chance by John Lennon, and performed by Tiffany Manigault, Jonathan Sarmiento, and Jeff Canclini.
All right, welcome everybody. In case you don't know, John Lennon was part of the Beatles for the younger ones, right? So I have my John Lennon memorial shirt on, my John Lennon headband, right? Tell me with this one, did it? Yeah. And so this is going to be a participation. There. One more? Yeah. This Yoko here. All right. And This is going to be everybody. If you want to stand, stand. Sing, of course. And I'll try and do my part for what John said between the songs. Take it away, Jonathan. Everybody's talking about bagism, tagism, dragism, magism, ragism, tasism, thisism, thatism, and most. All we are saying, give peace a chance. All we are saying, give peace a chance. Everybody's talking about ministers, sinisters, banisters, canisters, bishops, rabbis, Popeyes, buys. All we are saying, give peace a chance. All we are saying, give peace a chance. Let me tell you now, everybody's talking about revolution, evolution, masturbation, flagellation, regulation, integration, meditation, nidation, congratulations. We are saying, give peace a chance. All we are saying, give peace a chance. Okay. Let's stick to it. Everybody's talking about John and Yoko, Timothy Leary, Rosemary, Tom Smothers, Bob Dylan, Tom Cooper, Derek Taylor, Norman Mailer, Alan Ginsberg, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying, give peace a chance. Come on. Bigger. We are saying, give peace a chance. Couple more times. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Oh, thank y'all so much. That got me awake. Our opening words this morning, the church incarnate, are by the Reverend Elizabeth Mount. Sunlight streams through a rounded window. Come into this place, bringing all you hold with you. Though your heart be heavily burdened, whether you be on the brink of tears or burn with unquenchable rage, this community can hold you and your strongest emotions. Yes, even the messy ones are welcome here. Come in if you sing just a bit too loud, if you hold still as statues and just breathe it in. If you sway to the music moving your soul, you are welcome. Come in and say amen when the Spirit moves you. Tell that preacher to preach. Yes, that's right, tell us. Or just close your eyes and quietly let your mind float free on the blessed words. Come into this place with every piece of yourself gathered up, and let us be the church incarnate. Let us bring forth the spirit of all that we love by the words of our mouths and the doing of our hands as we make sacred this time together. I now invite new member Jeff King-Cleany to come forward and light the chalice this morning. The chalice represents the Unitarian Universalist Association, or UUA, and is a symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith. The flaming chalice is a symbol of both the heritage of our past and the light of hope within this church today.
Okay, our chalice lighting words are from The Promise and Practice, written by Adrian L.H. Graham. We kindle the flame of power, illuminating the holy in each of our faces. We recognize in the flame a passionate commitment to our shared faith. We are held and carried from day to day, week to week, in the shining of the light. This flame is mine as well as yours. We are brought together on this day, called to growth, to expansion within its glow. What does your heart know while beholding this holy fire?
Thank you, Jeff. Our opening hymn is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, in the Teal hymnal. Please stand if you are able and so moved, and join our song leader, Linda Ice.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Thank you. Please come forward if you are young at heart or would like to have a close-up view of our Time for All Ages presenter, Sarah Burrell Harrop. Oh gosh, y'all, wow. But you know what? Come on forward and we'll just do it from here. I'm just so excited this morning, you just can't stop me. Thanks, Sarah. And guys, if you don't mind, stand up again and join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to work for justice through action, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Now, y'all may be seated. And now we're all ready for Time for All Ages with Sarah Burrell.
Hi. Well, I'm so glad to see y'all. Is there anyone here who has siblings? Some siblings, yeah. Do y'all? You have an older brother, yeah? Do sometimes you fight with your siblings, or maybe even your friend? You fight with your siblings sometimes? Yeah, you'll do it a lot. Well, today's story is about a guy who had a twin brother. So like double the fighting. Yeah, exactly. Now this story comes from the Hebrew scriptures, and these scriptures are sacred to Jewish folks as well as Christian folks. I saw your hand. Did you want to say something? Okay. Maybe. Oh, okay. Think on it and let me know when you remember. Okay? Yeah. So these scriptures are sacred to Jewish folks and Christian folks, and it's one of the sources of our UU faith. So now these guys, these twins, were named Jacob and Esau, and they were super competitive. The story tells us they were wrestling even before they were born, because they were like fighting to figure out who would come out first. And it was Esau. And they were totally different. So Esau was kind of a jock. So what do you think Jacob would have been like if Esau was a jock? Yeah, what? More restful? Right, yeah. Did you have a thought? Nerdy. Yeah, that's really close to the word I chose, is that he was real bookish. And he was kind of sneaky and sly a little bit, too. And back in those days, if you were born first, you got everything. And if you were born second, you really didn't get much. And so Jacob decided he wanted to get everything. And so he pretended to be Esau when his dad died. And he got a blessing from his dad. So how do you think Esau felt? He was mad. Yeah. Sad. Yeah, he was sad. And he was mad. Frustrated. And he was like, I'm gonna kill you, Jacob. And he was like stronger. Remember, he was a jock. He hunted a lot. And so, what do you think Jacob did? He ran away. I heard something over here too, but I didn't hear it.
Killed him?
No, he didn't do that. Remember, he was the nerd. So, maybe he could have used poison or something, but yes. He what? Step on a leaf? Maybe he did as he was running away. Yeah. So he did. He ran away, and he got married to a couple of women, because that's the way they did it back then. And then many years later, he said, I think I want to go back home. And he wanted to bring everybody back home. But he was just a little bit worried, because he thought maybe his brother was still mad at him. And so as he was traveling, he sent a scout out, and this scout came back and said, hey, he has 400 men, and he's coming your way. So what would you do?
Run away.
We could run away? We had, what did you?
Poison.
Any other thoughts? Yeah. Kick a tree? Right, because it's 401 men. Oh my goodness. So, run away. Why didn't he have you all as advisors? I don't. Yeah. wear glasses and be disguised. So, do you know he was trying to be responsible, and so he actually chose to send a bunch of gifts over, because he thought, well, maybe if I send some gifts, he won't be so mad. I mean, that's a risk, right? Like, he was coming back and he's deciding. So what she said was, what if they destroy the gifts? And so right, we have a risk that the brother would still be mad. Yes. Oh, they could also what? Take them. Yeah, he could take them. Okay, so I'll repeat that, but this gentleman here has had his hand up longer. What do you want to say? Oh, he took his fancy glasses off and put it in a glasses jar? Okay. And then Hayes was saying, why would he, because he was first, why would he still be mad, right? So, yeah, he was first and he has all this stuff, but like Jacob actually didn't know whether or not he was still mad. So anyway, he sent all these gifts, and then he's all by himself. He sent his people away. He sent his, his wives and his kids and everybody. He was all by himself, and he was sweating it out. And he's at his campsite, and it's nighttime. And then all of a sudden, this stranger comes in the campsite and starts wrestling with him. What is going on here? But what's that? It could be the brother, maybe. Or one of the brother's men. But anyway, the point is like, he's with this stranger, he's wrestling, it's going on all night. The moon comes up, the moon comes down, the sun starts coming up. And then the stranger, and by the time the sun is coming up, he can see it's not his brother. But the sun is coming up, and this stranger like pushes his hip out of joint and starts to go. And he's like, well, no. We've been fighting all night. We've been wrestling all night. Why are you going? I mean, the least you can do is give me a blessing of some kind. And so this angel's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to give you a new name. Your name is going to be Israel, which means God wrestler. And then he left. And I see this hand. What? Oh, I'm so sorry. I see another hand. Was he? Oh, yeah, that might be a really good question to ask your director of religious education. Or to research. But so yes, so Israel means God wrestler, and Israel is a country. So which came first? Yes?
So God made the mountains grow?
Well, if God made the mountains grow, so he said God made the mountains grow, it's actually not part of this story. It's probably a different story. So just to kind of remember where we were at, so Jacob's, kind of tired. He's been up all night. He's got this new name, Israel, and he's got to go see his brother, because his brother is still there with 400 men, right? Right. So what do you think? Was his brother mad? One says yes. Any other? What do you think? Was the brother mad? Yes, we've got a lot of yeses. What do you so-so? We've got a so-so, maybe. So this brother, Esau, he wasn't mad at all. He missed his brother. He ran up and he embraced him and held him tight and kissed him. And then Israel, he kissed, because they're brothers, right? He hasn't seen them in forever, 20 years. And Israel says, when I saw your face, it was like it was the face of God that was smiling on me. And so they were able to reconcile, even though Jacob objectively did something very wrong. And so I'm hoping that this week you can think about how if you struggle closely with others or you sort of think about their points of view, that can help us to know ourselves better. It can change ourselves, and it can help us see the holy in each other. So that is my story. And I guess we sing y'all out, and it was really good to chat with you.
Thank you. Let's sing the kids out with number 16 and the gray hymnal, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, we'll be in the valley of dove and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed to turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right.
I now welcome John Fisher to do our joys and concerns. Good morning.
Good morning, I'm John Fisher. Your pastoral care associate. This morning, in our community here at Westside, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person in this community has value. We share our concerns with one another today, knowing that sorrows come into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. There's a concern in the name of Linda Monroe. Linda had a miscarriage last week. She and her family, husband Jeff, and kids Amelia and Lawson are doing okay. Please keep them in your thoughts. There is a concern from Diane Jones. The donuts today came from A&H Donuts next door to my beauty shop. The owner offered them at no charge because, in his words, I listened to his story. His 33-year-old daughter, Uni, has a rare incurable disease that causes multiple tumors in her lungs, kidneys, and her brain. He said, although there is no real hope for his family, he would ask as a neighbor that we pray for a cure so other families may not have to suffer the pain and despair theirs is living with. The disease is lymphangiomatosis, or LAM. We also share our joys with one another, knowing too that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. A joy this morning from longtime member Nancy Hines. Nancy's family and friends surprised her with an Irish-themed 80th birthday party last night here at West Side. She is sharing some of the goodies left from the party, there is Irish cream infused cake out for you to enjoy in Fellowship Hall, and quart containers of Irish stew in the refrigerator. Feel free to take some home with you today. I had an Irish great-grandmother, so I'm right in line with that. There is a joy. There's a joy from Carol Kappa and Sue Spell. We celebrate our birthdays this week with our West Side family. Much love to all. A joy from Diane Nixon, Chair of Buildings and Grounds. It's a joy and a great relief that Western Gardens completed the repair of the paved stone in front and found the leaks in the drip irrigation system with the help of Michael Munoz. And they planted red yuccas for future beauty. And our insurance company should be pleased with the elimination of a major tripping hazard. A joy also from Diane Nixon. On behalf of our aesthetics team, it was a joy to behold the beautiful display of fall colors in our planter by our front door. Thank you to Myron and Linda Ice for their talent and generosity. Not every joy or concern can be shared openly in community. Some must be shared eye to eye or simply held in the heart. We make space each week for musical centering, knowing the life and experience of every person matters. And together our lights shine brighter. As we hold all the joys and concerns among us, both those spoken and unspoken, let us center to number 389, gathered here in the gray hymnal, accompanied by Yuki.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yeah, that's better. I had a tooth removed Tuesday, so if I mumble a little, that's why. And I'm really missing my tooth. I was very attached to it. My name is Leotide Bennett, and I'm a member of the meditation group here at Westside. I invite you to relax your body and mind and join in a time of meditation. It will begin with an introduction before we move into a minute of silence. Our bell will sound to signal the start of your own meditation, prayer, or reflection, and it will sound again at the end. Our introduction this morning is Crossing Borders by the Reverend Stephen M. Schick from Be the Change, Poems, Prayers, and Meditations for Peacemakers and Justice Seekers. Spirit of my longing and lonely heart, help me travel through the barren borderlands that separate me from others. Teach me to willingly explore relationships with those who frighten or threaten me. Grant me the courage to risk confidently my own comforts, that I might make others more comfortable. And when I am burdened by the isolating choices I have made, grant me the wisdom to invite a stranger to travel with me. Open my heart to my new companion's needs and desires until I relax my defensiveness and become a calming presence. As we travel, grant me the vision to notice how each step we take together moves us closer to the promised land, where all souls grow in hope and in the resilience of love. May we be good company to one another in our questions and our journey. So may it be.
Thank you, Leota. The great end of all the world's faith traditions is to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. In the spirit of generosity, Westside chooses to reach out to our wider community. Westside's plate offering for September is the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, or Texas UJM, a statewide justice ministry that raises the voice of Unitarian Universalist values in the public arena. Westside has been a member congregation since 2012. This past year, Texas UJM, led by the passionate for justice Reverend Aaron Walter, has initiated weekly action hours, which all are welcome to join. Texas UJM wrote and received a grant which enabled congregations to do a GoTV, Get Out the Vote, postcard campaign. Texas UU sent 20,000 or more postcards and letters to Texas voters, and your justice ministry adopted the 8th principle last year. Texas UJM testified at the State Board of Education hearings during the summer of 2022 to stop misinformation from being placed in Texas public school curriculums. And Texas UJM has helped spread the word to and from various congregations to take action in our local communities. Many of our Westside members and friends made the trip back in the spring to join UUs who gathered in Austin to advocate for justice at the 2023 legislative session. With your contribution today, Westside can maintain its commitment to secure this collective for our UU voices in Texas. Thank you. Please give generously as you are able in support of this very worthy cause. Now let us enjoy this musical offering, A Change Is Gonna Come, by Sam Cooke and performed by Yuki Kumamoto and Jonathan Sarmiento. Thank y'all. Thank you for putting into practice the spiritual virtue of generosity. Our giving connects us to the wider web of our community. And thank you also for keeping up your stewardship commitment to keep our congregation's important work going. And now I invite Sarah Burrell Harrop to the pulpit.
Thanks. So I'd like to share a reading with you from Walter Earl Fluker, who is the author of the book Ethical Leadership, The Quest for Character, Civility, and Community. And he writes, spirituality is a discipline that places emphasis on practice. It's something we do. Prior to any act of cognition, spirituality has to do with the practical, day-to-day encounter with the other being friend and stranger, comrade and opponent, individual and collective, divine and demonic. In its active, dynamic expression, spirituality is life-generating and disfiguring. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and Howard Thurman demonstrate that for ethical leaders, each encounter with the other carries within itself the danger of disfiguring, of being tested and proven, so that that which is hidden and that which calls us discloses itself in acts of courage, justice, and compassion. And so ends the reading. And you heard that right. He said disfiguring. Much like our story, when Jacob struggles with this stranger, maybe an angel, and he is changed for the rest of his life. I heard this the first time, and I really had to sit with it, because I don't really normally think of disfiguring as something that's a good thing in the popular imagination. And so I sat with this and I wondered, okay, so he's talking about a spiritual encounter, he's talking about being disfigured. So if I'm in a spiritual encounter, maybe this means that there's danger, that there's risk. This is the danger of being tested and proven, so that this encounter reveals what he says, what is hidden about myself, my call, the way I want to move in the world. And this concept of spirituality asks me to be like Jacob, to love, to stick with, and to struggle with the stranger, and wonder, where is the disfigurement or change going to take me? He talks about that which is hidden. It's already there, but somehow gets sparked into growth. Does anyone grow bluebonnets? Okay, so bluebonnets are a seed that will not grow unless you scarify them. You literally have to disfigure them. You cut them with a razor, or you puncture them with a nail. And if you don't break the hard shell, the things that are life-giving, sun and rain, and the nutrients that are in the soil, they won't reach the parts of the seed that bring new life. And I'd like to suggest that it's similar for us. And this is where vulnerability takes a huge role. If I'm going to hold myself open to disfigurement or to change, this might be painful. I want to hold my heart open to that. I might feel some big emotions like sorrow or joy or anger. And I can hold myself open to that in a place where my heart could break open and grow something new. I want to suggest a way to think about identity that is consistent with this dynamic idea of spirituality and encountering the other. Picture a bag of stuff. It might be stones or sea glass. And this bag is transparent in some places, it's opaque in others, and you can shift it. I can choose which pieces come to the fore. And if I'm truly being vulnerable, then I can dance even with the shadow side of myself, with the demonic and the divine, and all those strange and hidden pieces. Now let's talk about being in community. So our communities are multiple bags of these skittering stones and stuff, whatever is in there. We're not only grappling with our own parts, but we can show our parts to each other. And we can find out what's hidden in this community and collectively wonder, what then could we do together? And this dynamic dance is not without risk, not at all. Because it entails mutual trust. And what happens when trust is broken? The injury is real. This becomes really plain to me when I'm forming covenants with my colleagues, as we do frequently in seminary. Past wounds haunt the conversation. as we wonder about the parameters of our relationship. How can we work the dialectic, our desire to welcome the stranger, to welcome the other, with the vulnerability entailed in an open-handed welcome? Can our group take good care of one another? Spiritual wholeness is that whole dynamic dance, that long night of struggle that softens and breaks open the hearts so that we could joyfully see the face of the divine in each other. And what happens when trust is broken? This is a pretty existential question about yourself and the groups that you're in. And I don't think we need to answer quickly or conclusively right away. And so I want to suggest to think about Rilke's advice to a young poet. And he said, "I want to beg you, as much as I can, dear sir, to be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and to try to love the questions. Love the questions themselves like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer." And I think this questioning posture and living into the questions is really relevant to the anti-racism work that goes on in Unitarian Universalism, that your congregation is launching or continuing with your own eighth principle journey. The eighth principle, what it says, it calls us to seek spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural community. This is Fluker's practical day-to-day encounter with the other. It's a day-to-day embrace of the potential that we can be together. And we miss something when we have certainty and not questions. We specifically miss something if we don't have an anti-racism praxis, by which I mean action, reflection. You do something, you think about it. How did that go? If you don't have that praxis individually or as a community. And I want to lift up the issue of reproductive justice as an example. Reproductive justice is not abortion rights. It's not pro-choice. It's much broader than that. And where did it come from? It came because there was racism in the predominantly white pro-choice movement. And I would invite you to go to the website of the reproductive justice group Sister Song, where they describe how the founding mothers met in 1994. It was like a big conference, and they were like, we are not getting what we need out of this conference. We're not being heard. So they had kind of their own caucus. And what the website says, the women's rights movement led by and representing middle-class and wealthy white women could not defend the needs of women of color, and other marginalized women and trans people. They could not defend it. They didn't know what the needs were. They didn't ask the questions.
They weren't in relationship. And this is what the eighth principle is about, or anti-racism, however you're going to call it, whatever you're going to do. It's actually moving into relationship, losing your certainty, being able to hold your heart open to that disfigurement. What if everything that I know is wrong? And I want to share with you how wonderful the reproductive justice framework is, so that you can see what was missing. Instead of focusing on individual rights, I'm not even gonna go to where access is different than a right, because it is. But the reproductive framework focuses on access to human rights. And these are the human rights that are core: to have children at a time of a person's own choosing, not to have children, and to parent children in safe, sustainable environments, free from violence, clean air, clean water, free from the violence of poverty. It includes bodily autonomy, but so much more than that. And we, white women, missed it. This is why the eighth principle calls us to accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institution. It's calling us directly into action. It's calling us into relationship, and into a relationship that then will call us to make meaningful change that responds to the specific needs of the most vulnerable, targeted people in our communities. And that's what your justice ministry seeks. And Jana did such a great job of talking about what we do in our mission. I'm not going to repeat that. What I will say is that we adopted the eighth principle last year, and it was just the beginning. And I want to share very quickly a very powerful part of the eighth principle journey, which was we co-sponsored and participated in a rally for Black maternal health in March at the Capitol in Austin. And I see several people here who were there. Now, we took a supporting role. Friendship West Baptist and other Black-led groups were the ones who led. And they picked a particular bill, which was passed, that would extend Medicaid eligibility postpartum from 2 to 12 months. Life-saving, under the radar bill. And as we decided that we're gonna be supporting, we wondered, what's it gonna be like for our people not to be running things? And we explained to our people who wanted all the details now that we're working with partners. We're not in the driver's seat here. Slow down. We were so gratified at the end of the day to see this small sea of yellow shirts in a supportive role at the back. And for me, it was very impactful when Reverend Erin, who was invited to speak, and she was like really kind of staying back, and, oh, are you really sure? And they said, yes, we're sure, we want you to speak. So what she decided to do, and she did this with great trepidation and humility, she led the rally to sing Hezekiah Walker's song, I Need You to Survive. And I sang this song to the Black women with the doula signs, let's have doulas for Black women. I'll talk to you about that later. They sing songs to me. I love you. I need you. You are important to me. I need you to survive. And this tender moment came from a journey of listening, of moving into relationship,
and of taking accountability seriously. From leaning into vulnerability and hearing the other person, which is the way, process is so important. This is the way that your justice ministry aspires to show up with and for and to our partners. And I invite you all to join us in this journey. So I'd like to close today in the spirit of prayer. Source of love and hope, of breath that connects us each with one another, may we embrace vulnerability. May we embrace hearing each other. May we wrestle daily with the sacred other. May we seek daily the divine face of the other. May we move towards spiritual wholeness by embodying this intention. I need you to survive. I need you to thrive. Blessed be.
Thank you, Sarah. Please stand in body or spirit and join together in singing our closing hymn today, number 1017, Building a New Way, in your teal hymnal.
And we'll sing the first two verses.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free.
Our closing words today, Prayer for Living Intention, are written by Reverend Joseph M. Cherry. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. The flame is extinguished, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in all the world. And now join Sarah and me in the congregational closing, but with a twist.
Yes, so this closing, I actually didn't even think about how the two microphones would work. So this closing is actually part of a different reading. And so Jana and I are going to read the first several verses of it, and then we'll invite you to do your normal closing the way that you normally do.
When we say go in peace,
We don't mean go in mindless oblivion.
when we say go in peace,
We don't mean go without challenging yourself or others.
when we say go in peace,
We don't mean go in utter ease and comfort.
And now, please join me in our congregational closing. Go in peace, seeking justice. Go in peace, committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. Go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace. Thank you, Jeff and Tiffany and Jonathan. Let's sing us on out. And be filling out your 8th principal survey.